Record prediction season, making our way out to Southern California. What's going to be the final record for the USC Trojans in 2025? Recruiting trail has been super hot fire for Chad Bowden and company out there. But what's going to happen on the field? We'll break it down right now. If you're a USC fan, we appreciate y'all being dialed in because y'all have been dialed in. So thank you for that. But if you want more USC content, make sure you are subscribed. It's the best way to let us know that you want us to give you more USC content. You catch our drift there. So I want to start at the quarterback position because it's interesting. When you talk to other people about USC, I think people feel a lot better about the vibe and the structure at USC than they have really since Lincoln Riley's gotten there. Like, I think the defense is a spot where I don't know if you feel like it's just totally fixed just yet, but you're like, okay, that's at the very least, that's at a stable spot to where that shouldn't be like our Achilles heel in 2025. You feel good about the skill players, I think, internally at least. Talk about that in a second. I told you feel good about what you're doing on the recruiting trail. I think you feel good as you have since Lincoln Riley's gotten there about where you are with NIL. So I say all that to get to this point. People that are maybe a little bit more lukewarm on USC are like, yeah, I don't know about Maiava just yet. And I don't think that's a take that's just based in complete nonsense or some disliking for USC. Dude turned the football over a little bit last year. I mean, look at the Notre Dame game. I mean, they have a chance to go tie that thing in the fourth quarter if he doesn't throw a pick six the other way. But for me, I think I'm actually a little bit higher on Maiava than maybe the average individual in the college football space. Yeah, he threw some picks, but I was impressed by how he responded after throwing those picks. And y'all that watched the show, you've heard me talk about it before. He goes out there against A&M, has a tough first half, dude. Tough first half. Couple of turnovers, couple of picks. It's just kind of a bad look. And when you're a young quarterback, when you're a young player in general, but especially a young quarterback, and you have some early mistakes, it is very, very easy, maybe even understandable, to go in the tank a little bit, woe is me, pout. Maybe even another way to put it is you get a little bit conservative, just don't want to make another mistake, don't want to throw another pick. That was not Jade Maiava. Jade Maiava shakes it off, goes out there, starts throwing darts, and ends up leading USC to a comeback win in their bowl game over A&M, throws a game winner to Kyle Ford. Like, I'm not saying that's the situation you look at and say, okay, I'm all in on Jade Maiava, but that to me told me a lot about how the guy is wired. I love that part of it, plus the fact that if Lincoln Riley goes to the transfer portal and handpicks you to come play for his football team, another good sign, another thing that says, okay, I think he can probably play the position at a reasonably high level, or at least Lincoln Riley is in on the idea of him doing that, in on the tools that he has. I don't want to dunk on Miller Moss because I think he's going to be great at Louisville next year. I hope he rewrites the record book for the Fighting Jeff Brahms out there. But Miller Moss was not a hand-selected quarterback by Lincoln Riley. He was already there. He kept him. He obviously decided to make him the starting quarterback, but it wasn't someone Lincoln Riley, who's this QB guru, QB whisperer. It's kind of how he's made his money in this profession. Wasn't his plot for how Miller Moss got to USC. So I say all that to say, I think we should maybe pay attention to the story arc and the clues around a Jade Maiava. I think he's going to be a lot better than the average vibe is on him right now in the college football public. The weapons, too, I told you internally, I think they feel pretty good about it. I think that nationally, USC's weaponry is better than most folks realize. Like Jacoby Lane, best wide receiver, I've said it before, best wide receiver in the Big Ten, not named Jeremiah Smith or not at Ohio State. I mean, dude, double the touchdowns last year. Also, he came alive when Jade Maiava was his quarterback last season. So Jacoby Lane, if he starts to dial it up even more from what he was last year, and if you've watched the spring propaganda clips we've done on this show, the highlights that USC is just feeding us throughout the course of this college football offseason, Jacoby Lane just making circus catches, it feels like, every other day. That's a good sign. Mekhi Lemon, in-state guy, just gritty for them in the slot last year. Love the way that he plays. Wayman Jordan, one of the top JUCO running backs, now at USC. So the way that I was told his impact is going to look at USC is they just feel a lot better on third and short handing him the football. So the weaponry is in a good spot. I like the quarterback. I think the line of scrimmage is really what you look at offensively to, be the variable that will dictate how good USC is in 2025. And my thing isn't even like, can USC be good enough up front? Like, that's kind of a lazy way to ask that question. I think the question is, can USC be good enough up front when you get into the month of November? That's the spot where I'm like, hey, you play Iowa, you're at Oregon. In those games where your team is beat up, you're probably dealing with just everybody feeling a little bit sore. Where are you at depth-wise and just overall, like, ability-wise up front on the line of scrimmage to hang in the Big Ten? Because Lincoln Riley, yes, he's a quarterback guy. Yes, they want to throw the football, all those things. But if you want to win at the highest level in this conference, and USC does and expects to, you have to have the big boys up front in the month of November to get that done. So I feel good about the big boys. I'm wondering what they look like in the month of November, to put it simply here. Defensively, to keep it simple, like, I need to see that next step. Last year was great. It was awesome. I said it before. It was like a lifestyle change on the defensive side. We've seen USC have a good game defensively in different spots under Lincoln Riley. But to see it actually, over the course of a season, look tangibly different when you just watch the football games on a broadcast and see guys tackling, flying to the football, a different level of violence when you get there, all that, like, that's just an encouraging sign. Great for the first year under Danton Lynn, the DC there. I want to see that next step. I want to see it be a thing where, yeah, we did that last year. Look at us build upon this. I want to see them be in like if they could be in the 23, 24 points a game allowed category, got to be, a timely stat, but if they can be in that range, good things are going to happen for USC. My deal with USC when it comes to like the balance between their offense and defense is the defense in a spot where they can be good enough to provide some margin for the offense if it takes a second to get revved up. But maybe more importantly, are they good enough to maximize that offense when it does get up and humming? Because you look at the schedule, man, like the game against Michigan, at Notre Dame, Nebraska, I think is even going to be a little bit more tricky because of the way that Dylan Raiola is going to elevate. The game at Oregon, like all those games, as the season progresses, you're going to play some offenses that I think will at least have the ability to give you some issues, whether it's on the ground or through the air. Are you up for the task? And are you able to, just like I said, put the offense in a spot to where, hey, you have a chance to go win the game for us? Because that was kind of like a year ago, I kept saying this around like the Caleb Williams, a couple years ago, I should say. The Caleb Williams frustration for USC fans is like he was the equalizer. He wasn't the edge. He should have been the edge. You got the best player in college football on your roster. He should be the guy to where, hey, just get him the ball at a tied game. We should be okay to, go win this thing. It was like he's always chasing points. So I'm not comparing Jaden Maiava to Caleb Williams, but I think if the defense can allow the offense to then go be the edge instead of the equalizer, that's how I think you get to where you want to go. Now, culturally, it's cliche, but we have to talk about it. USC needs to find that killer instinct. I think they know they need to find that killer instinct. That's a big reason why they changed their strength conditioning coordinator. Tremaine Carroll comes in from Kansas State to, the way it's been told to me, bring better accountability, being better juice. And when you look at what USC was last year in the fourth quarter, every single loss, the stat, tied or leading in the fourth quarter, except for the Notre Dame game, which they were in position to tie. There's no real way to analyze it besides like you got to find a way to do it, man. You got to find a way to get it done. And I do think now switching your strength conditioning coordinator to Tremaine Carroll, who comes over from Kansas State, and Kansas State, a team that I think probably specializes in the do more with less category, which USC should be in a do more with more category. In college football as a player, you spend the most time throughout the entire year with your strength and conditioning staff. The head coach is obviously like in charge of it all. Your position coach is who you're communicating with when it comes to your on-field stuff. But like if you want to actually set the tone for a football team and you want to, go win games in the fourth quarter, that's your strength and conditioning staff. And so for Tremaine Carroll, if he can elevate them to go finish a couple of the games in the fourth quarter, that would be, I think, the high you look at when USC closes those games out and say, okay, that hire changed that. That hire changed that. Can you do it in the course of an offseason? Remains to be seen, but that's, I think, worth being excited about for USC. I'll say this, too. I think that is the sneaky biggest hire up there with Chad Bowden, the GM, that has happened under Lincoln Riley's regime in Los Angeles. But let's go game by game here, give you our record prediction. Missouri State, quick dub. Thank you. Keep it moving here. Georgia Southern, very, very quietly now, against former USC head coach Clay Helton. So he'll have the clip fully stocked for that one. You have to believe and give them their best. Clay Helton also won a Rose Bowl when he was at USC. Not a bad career at USC, just to keep it a buck. But I think you win that game. At Purdue, man, if Purdue could keep the guys that left for other big schools, from Dylan Thieneman to Oregon and Will Held to Clemson, like the list goes on and on. Bottom line, they'd be a lot better, but the other bottom line is you beat Purdue. You beat Michigan State. Then you go to Illinois. Now, Illinois is like the college football public's darling right now, and I get it, but I don't think Illinois is all that they're being cracked up to be. Just my own take on it right now. They won a lot of one-score games last year. This is a game for USC where if you can win this game, create some internal belief on the road, that would go a long way. Actually, I think you win that game at Illinois. Then you play Michigan. Screams letdown spot to me. I think you actually drop the game against Michigan. Then you go to Notre Dame. I think you beat Notre Dame. And I love Notre Dame. I love Marcus Freeman. I love the way they built that roster. But I think the juice of this offense and what they did last year against that defense is being overlooked. I think that they actually have the edge offensively with a new starting quarterback for Notre Dame. I'll take USC to win that football game. Then you get a bye. Then you go to Nebraska. I think you win that football game. You play Northwestern. Northwestern, I love you. It's just vibes are not great right now. You beat them. You play Iowa. Remember now, this is the part of the schedule where I'm like, I need to see it from USC. I need to see the finishing traits. I need to see the depth up front, all those things. I think you lose to Iowa because I just think they're going to be a kind of a bully of sorts. And you go to Oregon. I think you lose to Oregon. I just think the work they've done on the recruiting trail, they're a touch further along than where USC is right now. So I think you drop that game, and then you win the rivalry game and beat UCLA. So you finish with 9-3. And 9-3 is, I think, a really solid year for SC. Based on what happened last year and based on how close they were, I think the feeling you have if you're a USC fan with that record is maybe we're not a finished product yet, and maybe we aren't where we want to be, but we can hang in this conference. All right? Now, we still got some work to do. We got to still keep stacking the trenches. We got to get better to finish season stronger. But like we can hang in the Big Ten. All right? I also think maybe as important as that is a 9-3 record to me, you're still projecting and pitching what USC is going to be under Lincoln Riley. You feel some security if you're a recruit that Lincoln Riley is going to be there for as long as he decides to be. I think you keep your recruiting momentum intact, which is huge. I mean, USC been the top class for a lot of this cycle on the recruiting trail. I think that record, I don't know if it, have the number one class isn't really, I don't think, that important to USC right now, based on what I can gather. But I do think that record would keep you within the top 5, top 10 range. All right. So all that's to say, 9-3 for USC, not a bad year. Not probably a playoff team right now, how I see it. But I mean, if I'm wrong and they win one more game, they're in the dance. So we'll see what happens. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all. We'll keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.